Hi everyone, this is Yana Smakula for SimonsSTM.com. Welcome back for another Yippee for Yana episode. In this video, we are going to create elegant thank you card featuring the Graceful Swans stamp set. Now, this elegant handmade card combines timeless design with a touch of vintage charm. Like I mentioned, I used the Simon Says Stamp Graceful Swans stamp set to create a serene lakeside scene, complete with swans gliding under an arched bridge. The background is softly ink blended with the positively saturated ink in sage, giving this card a very tranquil and classic tone. Now, for the stamp detail, I used Versaclear ink in Nocturne. It gives those crisp, dark impressions that contrast beautifully against the soft green background. And then to highlight the detail, I added gentle shading with a white polychromos pencil from Faber-Castell, which brings out the dimension and adds a touch of elegance to the swans and the florals and the bridge. Now, the sentiment, I framed that using the Simon Says Stamp A7 frame dies. This adds structure and sophistication to the card. I finished my card off with a subtle gold frame to echo the timeless beauty of this scene. It's a refined thank you card. It's simple in color, but rich in detail. Perfect for expressing heartfelt gratitude with style. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at the card making process. So here's a look at this stamp set. It's a beautiful set from Simon. Now, there are coordinating dies available for this set. I didn't use the dies for this card because this is mostly a one-layer project, but I just wanted to mention that there is a die set available because you can use this stamp set for so many other projects. I'm starting with a sheet of sage cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. This is like one of my latest favorite colors, and I have placed it inside my Misty stamping tool. This is now cut to 4 1/4 by 5 inches. I'm also using the A7 frame dies from Simon. I have this one. This is the second smallest, if you count from the smallest up, so it would be the second smallest. I die cut this frame from gold cardstock, and I'm now using it as a guide for my placement. I had to grab the T-square ruler from Simon to make sure that the frame was attached or placed perfectly on the card. I'm not adhering the frame just yet. I am using it as a guide. And with that done, I placed my sentiment in the center, and this reads, "Thank you for all that you do." Like I mentioned, we're making thank you cards. I'm using the VersaFine Clear ink in Nocturne. It's a beautiful black ink. I also love to use my VersaFine Onyx Black, though they're fabulous inks for stamping anything black. And with that done, I am next placing the frame back around my sentiment, and I have this white piece of paper. This is just like a scrap piece from a test frame that I die cut previously. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to mask that sentiment using the frame. I created a little sticky for the frame so that it would stay in place. I used my best ever craft tape from Spellbinders to do that. And now I have placed that little rectangle over my sentiment. What this is going to do, this is going to mask that center area and, help me preserve the sentiment. I will be doing a lot of stamping around the sentiment, and I don't plan to go over into that sentiment area too much, but I will in some cases, especially when stamping this bridge. So I need to make sure that the sentiment area is masked so that I don't have any stamping there. I'm not masking the frame area because I will have the actual frame sit on top of that and mask any stamping that I have. I am going to start stamping my images one by one. I have stamped the bridge. I'm doing some partial stamping here. I don't need to have the entire bridge image, just, a partial will do. And having stamped that using black ink, I am next grabbing my pencil. This is a white pencil from Faber-Castell. It's a polychromos pencil. You can also use Prismacolor pencil. You will need any white pencil, not a watercolor pencil, but like a colored pencil. So grab a white pencil and use that to color your image. We're just coloring it in, nothing fancy, nothing special, just adding little highlights to the image. I'm also coloring the area under the bridge where there's water. I don't have any stamping there, but I am extending that water and creating maybe an illusion of waves, if you will. Now, we stamp the bridge once. If your stamping isn't perfect the first time around, don't worry, because we will stamp it again. If you notice, my paper is still inside the MISTI. The stamp is still attached to the lid of the MISTI, and I'm doing my coloring inside the MISTI. This is not the most convenient way to color. I would have preferred to remove the paper from the MISTI, but I want to re-stamp the image once I'm done coloring. Reason for that is when I color with a white pencil over black stamping, I dull a little bit of that black ink. My goal here is to stamp the image once, use that as a guide for coloring, color that quickly using a white pencil, and then re-stamp the image in the same spot, darkening those black lines where I accidentally went over them with my pencil. So this way I don't have to be too careful when coloring, and I can just be, the process can go a little bit quicker. So now that I've showed you this step once, I'm going to go ahead and repeat everything. I'm going to repeat my stamping and repeat my coloring. I'm going to speed up this part of the video so that I'm not boring you with the same repetitive tasks, but I'm basically going to stamp additional images around the frame, filling the entire background of my card in. I'm using the pencil and I'm holding it. Oftentimes I'm holding it at an angle to get, different pencil strokes, if you will. But for the most part, it's just simple coloring. If you don't have a white pencil, gray pencil would look nice. You just need to introduce another color into this card. We're creating a monochromatic card for the most part. So adding just a little bit of additional color really works well here. So with the bridges done, I'm next going to add some swans. I love this stamp set. The swans are beautiful. The sentiments in this stamp set are also beautiful. You could easily make some stunning birthday cards using this set. Just replace the thank you sentiment with a birthday sentiment. Or, there's one more in here that says, may your heart be filled with peace. Beautiful sentiments, beautiful imagery. I really love this illustration style. It's so stunning. It's so elegant. You just need to add a little bit of coloring, just a touch of coloring to make these images shine. So I've stamped the swans. I also stamped a little image of a rose in the corner there. And I'm once again using my colored pencil to color those in. Remember to sharpen your pencil from time to time so that you can get into those nooks and crannies a little easier. And with the coloring done, just go ahead and re-stamp those black outlines. We now have this top right-hand side corner left. I'm going to work on that one as well. I'm zooming in here from time to time so you can have a closer look at the coloring and at the process. And as you can see, everything goes so quickly. You can definitely spend more time on your coloring, but for this card, this is just something, a simple coloring will do. Just a little bit of color application will do the trick. With the stamping done, I've removed the panel from my MISTI, and I have also removed my mask. And you can catch a look at this card, and it already looks so beautiful. You probably don't even need to add the frame because it looks stunning already. But I wanted to emphasize that sentiment. I wanted to frame it, if you will. I know I already have it framed with the help of the images, but I also want to frame it with the help of a die cut. I cut several of these frames. So I have the main frame cut from Mirror Gold cardstock, and I also cut 3 additional frames from Craft cardstock. I didn't want to cut them from white because white would show too much from the sides of the frame, and I just wanted to use some color of cardstock that was similar to gold, so I used Craft. I glued the 3 or the 4 layers together using my Barely Art glue, and this is what it looks. It's just stunning. Now I do want to pop this frame up even more. So here I used foam adhesive strips. I added them from the back of the frame, and I adhered the frame onto my card. Next and final step is adding some ink blending. Here I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Sage ink and a large blending brush, and I'm just going around the edge of my card. This is not a card yet. This is just a panel. I haven't adhered it onto a card base. So I'm going around the edges and I'm adding a little bit of ink. Now, something to keep in mind, if you double stamped your images, and if you are following this tutorial, you probably did, give your ink time to dry because you have a lot of ink there. And by doing ink blending on top of the ink, you might smear it. I did smear the ink on one of the swans. It smeared a little bit. It's not too bad. I went back with a white pencil and colored over the smearing so it doesn't show too much on the finished card. But that is just something to keep in mind. And with the ink blending done, we can now adhere this panel onto a card base. I have an A2 top folding card base. This is a Simon Says Stamp card base. And I just used a tape runner to quickly pop this panel onto the card base, and my card is finished. Here's another one that I made before starting this video, and I absolutely love the result. So it's a simple card, yet it is timeless and stunning. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial and feel inspired to create. All supplies I used for this project are listed and linked in the video description below. Thanks so much for joining me. Love you guys, and I'll see you again next time.